Now, in more important news regarding Crunchyroll, let's watch this entire video. It is 5-ish minutes long.
Hi, everybody. Kyle
Can you
McCarley
hear that?
here. You may know me as the English voice of Shigeru
Yes.
Kagura, aka Mob, in the anime series Mob Psycho 100. I'm making this video to let you know that, well, first of all, in case you weren't aware, there is a third season of Mob Psycho 100 on the way very, very soon. But I'm making this video because I wanted to let you know that there have been talks over the past couple of weeks between the cast of the show and Crunchyroll, who's producing the show, about potentially producing this season of the show on a SAG-AFTRA union contract. And as a result of those conversations, I'm making this video because it's looking very, very likely that I will not be reprising my role as Mob.
Okay, so real quick. From everything I've heard so far, it's not just in this video, but just generally out in the public about this, right? What's been said. It sounds like multiple people are going to be recast, but we don't know which ones. And I'll just say, as long as Reagan is still Chris Neosi, I don't give a shit. Like, that's the only character I give a damn about. So here's the thing, though. Just to give a little bit of clarity to why this is happening. This is the direct result of Sony buying Crunchyroll and Crunchyroll taking over Funimation. Or more specifically, Funimation wearing the Crunchyroll brand as a mask. Right? So what happened is seasons 1 and 2 of Mob Psycho 100 were licensed by Crunchyroll before the merger with Funimation. And so Crunchyroll produced the dub. They used Bang Zoom in LA to dub seasons 1 and 2 of Mob Psycho 100. And then through their partnership with Funimation, Funimation released the physical discs for the Blu-rays and whatnot, right? Now, post-merger, now that Funimation is Crunchyroll and Crunchyroll doesn't exist, they're doing the dub in-house at Funimation in Texas, a right-to-work state, without the union representation that they have in LA. So that's why this is now an issue where it wasn't previously.
But Crunchyroll bought Funimation.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, it very much
predicted this. Oh wait, we did.
It's almost like Sony, after buying Funimation and ruining that brand, is now determined to also ruin Crunchyroll by just being Funimation again, right? So, anyway,
as a SAG-AFTRA union member and a member of the SAG-AFTRA dubbing steering committee, it's really, really important to me personally that all the work that I do be covered by a SAG-AFTRA union contract. For those of you who don't know, SAG-AFTRA is a union that represents actors. Unions exist to protect their workers. It has been made abundantly clear to me that in the case of season 3 of Mob Psycho 100, Crunchyroll is not going to be producing that show on a SAG-AFTRA contract. And I want to put this little note in here just to be very, very clear. It's not about money. They were prepared to pay me at least what I would be getting on a union scale contract, possibly more. They just don't want to put it on a union contract. With 99.9% of the work that I do, that would be the end of the conversation for me. I would say, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I don't work non-union. Crunchyroll has historically been very, very hesitant to take anything that they produce onto a SAG-AFTRA contract. And just because of the role that I have in this particular show and this particular show's popularity with you guys, it seemed like maybe there was an opportunity to change that. So I went back to Crunchyroll with the offer that I would agree to work on this season of this show, non-union, on the condition that they agree to sit down and meet with SAG-AFTRA representatives with the purposes of negotiating a potential contract for them to use on future productions. That's all I was asking. Not a commitment to definitely guaranteed make such an agreement happen, just an agreement to good faith negotiations, an agreement to sit down and have a conversation on their own terms, where SAG-AFTRA can present the needs of the performers that they represent on a contract with any given employer, and a conversation where Crunchyroll can present their needs as a production company and just find out if there's any middle ground to be found between those two so that a contract could be made for future productions.
First of all, this is extremely disingenuous, I think. Throughout a lot of the things that have covered this, like different outlets and whatnot, it is extremely wishy-washy on whether or not he outright refused to do the dub without a union contract, or hashtag just a meeting wanted to exclusively do it like, oh, I'm willing to do a non-union contract as long as you guys will come to the table and just have a meeting with the union reps. So that's number one. I want to mention that. I would just like to say, though, fuck Crunchyroll, fuck Sony, fuck Funimation. They all suck. Okay? They don't deserve any... I shouldn't be backing up their horse on this thing. That's not what I'm intending to do. But second, I would also like to point out that as we talk about the rates that the voice actors are getting and whatnot, everybody across the board is owed a raise. On grounds of inflation alone, they should probably get a 20% raise at minimum, just on inflation alone. So as we get into the conversation on whether or not, people are fairly paid and should they go for the union and all that shit, I just want to have that laid out there that regardless of whether or not they're bitching and entitled and whatnot, they do deserve at least a 20% raise just to cover the inflation that has happened up to this point and will likely continue throughout the rest of this year and into next year.
So the way I see this situation is, so Mob Psycho has 2 other seasons, very beloved show.
Mm-hmm.
I see them as original cast as their own like bargaining chip. So
yeah,
I feel like this situation could have been theoretically each of them just views themselves as like, I'm an OG of the cast, meet my needs individually, like union or not. Because as Kyle, that's his name,
Kyle.
said, the Crunchyroll was willing to meet like, the same pay and all that stuff that he would have gotten in union.
With union scale means not only the money you get that goes into your pocket, but also the extra money that would go to your pension and to your health care and to all those things. So
okay,
they were
that just makes it even more compelling.
And yeah, they were willing to really
move heaven and earth for them.
Exactly, in order to keep the legacy cast, right? And again, fuck Crunchyroll, fuck Sony, fuck Funimation. Yep. But at least they tried,
As far as where things stand right now, unless things change, you're probably going to be hearing at least one unfamiliar voice on Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I love you all, and I hope that the next time I talk to you, I will have some happier news to share.
You have not convinced me one bit.
I mean, it's all on him at this point.
Right. So first of all, this is the Twitter thread he was talking about. Unions protect the workers they represent chiefly by giving them collective bargaining power. Also, I would just like to point out flags, and also I couldn't see it previously because I have YouTube Premium.
Is it going to play ads that are relevant?
No. He has a Teespring thing.
What's it say? Mob saying union for life or something?
No, he's got the I wear this for you. It's a face mask, right? So bleeding heart. This is all for the betterment of mankind and Viva Ukraine and all that shit, right? Hook, line, and sinker. Just pointing that out. On principle, I stand against unions based on I detest the idea that people who cannot compete in the workforce choose to get together to beat down the competition because they're getting they're mopping the floor with them. Instead of negotiating the terms of your employment individually one-on-one, the union negotiates baseline minimums for everyone all at once. This generally leads to better terms for all workers because as a collective, you have sway in these negotiations. How much you get paid, how long your hours are, how hard those hours are, how often you get breaks or time off, what safety precautions are taken, etc. Just one example of how SAG-AFTRA helps voiceover performers specifically is by negotiating terms that protect us from vocally stressful work. And there are plenty of other benefits. But the big ones I want to point out are the health insurance and retirement fund. So
I'm here to
Stan
please.
says, Kyle, if you are unwilling to do the work to negotiate your own pay with the company, then yeah, the union is for you. So he goes on to say here, America doesn't have universal health insurance. We pay for coverage, which can be expensive, and it often doesn't cover everything. Some workers can get it from their employers, which is why it's expensive, which often means better/more affordable coverage. No, literally the reason it's expensive. But that's not possible for performers. We're freelancers. We work for a lot of different employers in very short bursts. So it wouldn't make any financial sense for any of them to give us health and retirement benefits on their own. That's where SAG-AFTRA comes in. By collecting a small percentage on top of our fee for every job we work on, SAG-AFTRA funds a phenomenal health plan that's very affordable for qualifying members, as well as a retirement plan. Doesn't it sound like his sales pitch is like he's getting back pocket payment from SAG-AFTRA to
I
like
was
a
going to say this
commission?
earlier. Usually, don't
Recruiters?
unions help the high, like the top of the line more than the bottom?
Yeah,
Like-
and he's one of the steerer. What do they call it? We'll talk about it in a second. He's in a top position at the union for
Is that the top
dubbing
of the
work.
pyramid scheme?
I'll show you in a minute. Those are the big bullet points I wanted to cover for those unfamiliar / uncertain about the benefits of unionization that wouldn't fit in this video. 8 tweets that wouldn't fit in the fucking video. Fucking unbelievable. Anyway,
it sounds like a Scientology ad.
it doesn't it? That's what I'm saying. Is like this is like it's a recruitment is what he's doing.
Just quickly, I'd also like to point out that I work at a very small company who does not have a health plan. Now, I get Ontario health care has some quote unquote free health care, but things like dental and vision care and all that kind of shit isn't included in the provincial healthcare plan. So generally people have supplementary healthcare plans through their work, but my work doesn't because it's so small, it doesn't make sense to. The idea of a healthcare plan for insurance purposes is if you go in by yourself, then the insurance company is just going to be like, okay, well, if you use it, well, we're just going to charge you later then for it. Whereas if you spread it out against like hundreds of employees or thousands of employees, then they're kind of like, okay, well, we're going to assume 10% of the people will never use it, and that'll make up for the 10% of people that use it a lot, right? And that helps keep costs a little bit down.
Literally any health share, all insurance operates this way. Yeah. That's effectively what it is.
So if he's looking for his own health insurance, right, and he goes to a private insuring company, he's going to get reamed on the costs because he doesn't have this benefit of spreading it out. But like I was saying, there are companies that will offer a pooled plan for like self-employed things that you don't need to join a union for. I'm not in a union. So to use it as an excuse, wow, I mean, it's the only way I can get health. No, it's not. No, it's the only way I can get cheap health. No, it's not. So just
as Stan put it, you don't need to be in a union to get health insurance and a retirement account. This is another reason for you to join the union because you are unable to do the work to get these basic coverage, meaning that you could literally set up an account for your paycheck to be deposited into for a retirement on your own. You don't need the union to make that happen. That's something you can just do, right? But choosing not to and making it like, oh, you're lazy, are you? Well, I've got a plan for you. You can still have a retirement even though you're lazy, right? Kind of idea. I want to round out this point real quick. Kyle McCarley said, a lot of people have been asking me how they can support. You're doing it. Let Crunchyroll know in whatever way you see fit that as a fan, you'd like them to reconsider their position. Hashtag just a meeting. That's all I'm asking for. And there it is. Does this look familiar to you? It should, because this is exactly what Reba Burr did, weaponizing her Twitter followers to renegotiate a deal. It's also what Amanda Wynn Lee did to renegotiate a deal that she was fucking wrong about, never deleting the tweet. The only apology she gave was, I'm so fucking sorry, blah, 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 right? This is exactly what they do. And this is why I detest these VAs. They treat this with such entitlement. And once again, he says, it's just a meeting. That's all I'm asking for. Well, let's see how far that goes. Also, I'd like to point out, we just want to hashtag just a meeting, right? So what does Crunchyroll get when you're like, when they say, you know what? We're not feeling the meeting, dog. We're just going to cast somebody else. You do you. We wish you tons of work in your LA branches and everything, but we've got something to do here in our right to work state. It's just not that easy for us. I'm sorry. You do you. So what do we got here? SAG-AFTRA. Hey, Crunchyroll, you sure sound excited about booting a fan favorite just because he asked for a union contract. Let's talk union protections and benefits can be exciting too. Hashtag just a meeting. So immediately sick the dogs on them. SAG-AFTRA chimes in. Next gen performers unite. Crunchyroll, Sony Pictures recast Mob Psycho 100 fan fave character who wants just a meeting to discuss union protections. Also, Coalition of Dubbing Actors says, we'd like to encourage everyone to ask questions about the work you're doing before you accept a job offer. For example, if you're being asked to voice match someone, especially on a non-union project, you should know why. Basically saying, like, make it hard for them to not work with us unions. Coming back here, Kotaku wrote this article where they talked to Kyle McCarley about this, and he said McCarley told Kotaku that Crunchyroll initially reached out to him on September 8th. Again, there's the way that he's presenting it, and then we can look at it from Crunchyroll hasn't said much. And again, I don't want to defend Crunchyroll because, again, fuck Crunchyroll. But if we look at it from this other perspective, I think you might start seeing things a little bit differently. So, quote, I thought it was odd they'd wait so long to ask me about that, given the season was announced in January, I think it was. And the Funimation side of the company, pre-merger, had already replaced me in the Scarlet Nexus anime last year when I refused to work on that project non-union. Again, if you are the piece of the puzzle that makes the company work, then your employer is going to take care of you. Here is the sad truth for the entertainment industry here. You're replaceable. As fans, we don't have to like it, but that's the unfortunate reality. They replaced Vic. They replaced Kyle McCarley. They've replaced numerous people. They fucking, in the middle of a season, will swap somebody out because their schedule conflicts happen, like what happened with Ashley Birch. Quote, a good portion of the cast and I had a Zoom call that night to talk about it. This is right after being replaced in Scarlet Nexus, which was when the idea of offering to do this job, Mob Psycho 100 Season 3, non-union, in exchange for a meeting with SAG-AFTRA representation, was pitched. McCarley said one of his castmates reached out to the head of production at Crunchyroll directly to give him their pitch to negotiate a potential contract. When none of us had heard anything by last Thursday morning, the first day in their original availability window to start recording, I took it upon myself to ensure the terms of the offer were clearly articulated to everyone who might be weighing in on the decision. McCarley said he emailed Rahul Parini, the president of Crunchyroll, and CC'd the company's chief content officer, chief people officer, chief operating officer, as well as the head of production to restate that he was only asking to have a meeting with them. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but I want to point out again that he did this the first day in their original availability window to start recording. So if Crunchyroll, again, fuck Crunchyroll, but if Crunchyroll has already decided at this point to cast somebody else for the simuldub, which is coming up, and you say, I just want to make sure everybody knows we only want a meeting. No, we just want a meeting. Can we have a meeting? Which also could be a selective alteration of history in order to now weaponize your Twitter followers for the way that makes you look like you only want a meeting. Hashtag just a meeting. Let's get it trending, guys, alongside Crunchyroll.
Yeah, if he was willing to accept, because obviously he made it sound like, oh yeah, it's just a meeting, you don't have to accept it. If he was willing to accept the outcome of them not accepting it, why would it matter if they accept it or not? If you were supposedly going to accept the role after that, after the conditions.
It just seems to me like Crunchyroll already cast somebody else, and they would show up the first day in the original availability window to start recording. They're fucking there recording the lines, hypothetically. And you're like, but by the way, I'll still do it. But I just want a meeting. Hashtag just a meeting. Right? It seems ridiculous to me.
So I like the world, you know, what we get told and what happens are two vastly different things.
Right.
And obviously Crunchyroll
is, even if they've got them dead to rights with the emails and can show you this is precisely what they asked for, they're lying. Crunchyroll is not going to come out and say that.
Yeah. So he gets carte blanche.
Yeah, and I know where you're going with this. You're going to say, I like the world where he's like, well, they need us for season 3, so let's threaten them. Everybody wants it to be union. And then they say, all right, we're casting new people. Like, whoa, just a meeting.
Yeah.
But then they present to everybody else that all we wanted from the beginning was just the meeting, Yeah. This is hypothetical, of course, but yeah, it very well could be, because like I said, Crunchyroll, even if they've got them dead to rights, could produce the emails and show everything. And again, this is all hypothetical. They still would not do that. That would not look good for the company to do. Whereas Reba Burr, Amanda Wynn Lee, and Kyle McCarley, any number of these people can just take to Twitter and share with their followers and spread their version of things, And
even taking his word on the how it all went down, even if they hadn't recorded yet, if they signed a contract with someone, they're not going to throw the contract out. So
exactly.
If he's replaced, he's replaced.
Although,
and whining about it afterwards
is
not too much.
Funimation contracts for the year. So the people that they use probably were already contracted before they were given the role, because you recall in the depositions they talked about regarding Vic and Monica and them, they talked about how you don't know who you're voicing, and you don't even know what your lines are until you get to work and they give you the script. Like, they just send you a text message that says, come in 11 p.m. this day or whatever for your simuldub casting recording, right?
Yeah.
And they do they have a 24-hour
well, I mean, if that's the case, then
there.
Even in that model, they're going to be playing Tetris with everyone's schedules to
Yeah.
make sure everyone has enough work. And if they've worked out that, okay, well, this person's going to get this work, and therefore we're not going to hire him on something else, to last minute go in and say, well, the other actor is going to come back for this, so now we have to rejig everything to make sure this actor is not, going to waste, or he's going to have enough work throughout the year. So yeah, last minute changes aren't going to be
And keep in mind as
Awkward.
well, Funimation has in the past re-recorded. I mean, the simul dubs are just for the people who don't buy the Blu-rays. They actually redo a lot of takes and things. They've redone entire roles. So it's not it wouldn't be unheard of that this social media campaign does result in the Blu-rays getting Kyle McCarley back for the physical media releases. Anyway, so yesterday morning, McCarley said he received a call from the head of production at Crunchyroll saying the company was not going to agree to those terms. After reiterating that he wasn't looking for a commitment to anything beyond a meeting, he just sounds like, whoa, one more time. I just want you guys. Will you agree to think about having a meeting? Like he really, like he's showing his hand as a bad negotiator. Like he really wants to continue to have the role and the money, right? Especially since they offered him more. He basically just, it's just like the art of the deal is not there, Anyway, after reiterating that he was not looking for a commitment to anything beyond a meeting, he said he received a call that afternoon from Crunchyroll confirming his stance on the matter. Now, look, he says, I'm not looking for anything beyond a meeting, but the fucking meeting is about setting up the Crunchyroll contract for Union, right? Basically, what he in other articles and interviews basically said is that we want to have a meeting in order to develop what Netflix has for us, but for Crunchyroll, and in doing so, we will have basically a drawn out contract that Crunchyroll's already basically conceded. Like, yeah, we'd be willing to do this. Yeah, that's not that's not asking too much from us. Yeah, we can do a minimum of 2 hours for their recording, blah blah, whatever it's going to be, right? And then that way, anybody who is part of a franchise that Funimation acquires, or rather Sony acquires, and they're in the same boat. They're like, well, it's a good thing we've already got that contract drawn up. That's the one I'll be taking, the Crunchyroll contract, right? And so let's finish this. Quote, I could speculate about why they've taken this stance, but it would be speculation, McCarley said. Quote, I don't know why they are so firmly anti-union that they won't even agree to having a conversation about it. I feel like it was a pretty reasonable request. Well, you'd have to ask them why they appear to disagree. So Kotaku asked for, reached out to Crunchyroll, did not receive a comment in time for publication, but then they did get the comment, and they added it to the article here. A Crunchyroll representative sent Kotaku an email in response to McCarley's role as Mob in Season 3 of Mob Psycho 100, saying, quote, Crunchyroll is excited to bring fans worldwide the dub for the 3rd season of Mob Psycho 100 as a simul dub, the same day and date as the Japanese broadcast. We'll be producing the English dub at our Dallas production studios, and to accomplish this seamlessly per our production and casting guidelines, we will need to recast some roles. We're excited for fans to enjoy the new voice talent and greatly thank any departing cast for their contributions to previous seasons. I hate how much of an obvious PR crafted statement that was, but it actually feels like Crunchyroll is more excited than Kyle McCarley was in his YouTube video.
Are we almost done with this?
That's it. Do you guys have
Oh my
anything
God.
else you want to say about it?
Yeah,
No.
I actually took it down a couple notes.
Oh,
The initial thing I brought up, I was gonna end it with what is it? So, if I was in the situation where I'm usually in a union, theoretically, if I'm in a union, and oh no, this upcoming 3rd season, they're not gonna accept union. If I loved Mob Psycho 100 that much, and also loved my role that much, and they offered me like the same type of contract. But even if they didn't, I would probably be so compelled to just fulfill that role that I would probably take it anyway, even if I, felt I might deserve a bit more for the pay. But I think, mainly for the, like the fans and all that, I want them to have the complete experience as I would as a fan. And also, just because that character means something to you. But as you're talking about, the altruism trumps the, like, oh well, we all have to be in on this. All of us voice actors, not
Yeah.
just me or whatever.
And it's
But
like
I'd assume
it screams of, I need you to come to the table so I can get ahead. But it's good for you too. Why won't you just fucking come to the table? Right? I deserve to make a living wage off of only 4 hours of work,
and it's like I was saying as well, the bargaining chip is, even if for some reason, oh, they made the exception just for the lead character, I'm sure the other the other voice actors could bargain the same way. They could say, okay, well, I'm not returning if you're not going to meet X or Y need. I'd presume that the money is like probably the main one. You need to negotiate your terms because you're the merchandise to Funimation. So you negotiate that, hey, dude, I need a break or whatever, after 2 hours or whatever. I can't do this, or I can't keep up, or else I'm gonna have some Aaron Dismuke throat going on here.